attitude, and I really just let myself go, and I kind of didn't take care of myself, and there's no wonder I got sick because of the way I lived at a very young, like in high school and college. But after that, I started to learn about physical fitness and about how maybe I could turn myself around and to get healthier and to start to be more concerned about this thing and maybe not die of a heart attack like my father that really affected me. So I got into the running, I got into the exercise, and, long story short, I went to the doctor and had a stress test, and they found that I had tremendous health as far as my cardiovascular was, but I had a mole on my back, and the mole turned out to be melanoma, stage 4 melanoma. Well, after that, I really just totally lost it and became very fearful, and after a diagnosis of stage 4 melanoma, I thought that I wasn't going to be around too many more years from what I had heard and read. But, I remember laying there one night, and I was very, very afraid, and I felt like I was all alone. I felt like it was just me, and the world and everything was all out there, and I was alone, and I was having to deal with this alone, and I felt very, very fearful. And I got a voice during the night. I woke up with this voice, and the voice was like, "You are not alone. I am with you. I will always be with you." This is the voice I heard, and it was this voice, just like someone, and was talking with every cell in my body. I don't know how to explain it, but I got this voice, and it was not totally a dream, but I woke up, and I felt this calmness around me after that. And I, for some reason or another, didn't understand it, but I got it another time or two, because every time I would go through this, I would feel better some days, and then the next day I would kind of get anxiety and depression and start feeling really down and out. But I felt this energy within me, and I would hear this voice. But sooner than later, I ended up in the hospital with surgery, and I had another issue there, and the cancer had ended up spreading, and the doctor told me I only had a 20% chance of surviving 3 to 5 years if I could get through all of these chemotherapy treatments that he wanted to do. And I knew that wasn't good. I knew that I did not have a good outlook, and I became very, very, depressed like before, but even worse, I felt very hopeless, and I had no desire to do anything but lay there and feel sorry for myself. And I got a phone call, and it was from a minister at a church that I went to. And this was a very interesting story, because this fellow that I knew, and I wasn't a real religious guy. I didn't go to church that much, but I'd go maybe 2, sometimes 3 times a month. But, I would go with my wife and little daughter. And this guy calls me up, and he says, "James," he says, "whatever you do, you got to fight. You have to not give in. I know that you have the toughness to do this. I know that you can do this, that you just can't give in." And he says, "You have to fight like hell." He said actually other words, but we'll leave it at that. And I was shocked, that this guy told me the things he told me, because he called me out of the blue and told me he'd been praying for me. And, it made me feel like I had someone on my side again, that it also made me want to start praying. And I prayed like I'd never prayed in my whole life. I felt like every cell in my body was praying. And I'll tell you what, it was an energy that I never felt before, like every cell in my body was praying. But after that prayer, I started to get things to happening. I'll tell you, the door, I had a knock on the hospital door. I got information from a friend of mine that I hadn't seen in 7 years. Comes through the door, gives me this whole diet and lifestyle plan that eventually saved my life. The next day, I got another knock on the door from a person that brought me a book that also was a big part of saving my life, that told me about vitamin C, the importance of high amounts of vitamin C in fighting terminal cancer. I got that. And I'll tell you what, I got another knock on the door from a guy the next day that told me that he was a psychotherapist that came through the door that told me that it was a very good diet. If I would promise not to tell anybody else, he would tell me everything he knew, and he didn't want to lose his job and all that. So it was very secretive the way he told me, but he told me all these things that he knew that really confirmed what I had learned after praying in this short period of time. So this really, really is what saved my life, and I did this program, and I've been alive for 33 plus years, and that's the kind of thing that happened to me. But from this day on, now I think before I was just a little over toxic, a little out of touch with my body, with my spirituality, with everything before I got sick. And I get dreams all the time, Kat, that when I need direction, when I need to have an answer, no matter what it is, I think hard about something. When something's bothering me, I get the message during the night many times, and I've learned that I need to, whether I do or not, have a pad next to my bed, because if I don't, I forget it. These dreams, it's very interesting.
Dreams are fleeting. Yes, as soon as we, most of the time, I know that when I was in treatment, when I would come out of my sleep, I was so deep because of all the, healing I was doing while I was sleeping, that it was hard to really remember my dreams when I would come out. So it was important to have a pad and pencil right next to my bed. But isn't it interesting, audience, that both of these men, James and Jim, hear a voice, and then they both become ministers? Don't go away, because we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about this in depth. You're listening to Dreaming Healing on Dreamvisions 7 Radio Network, and I'm your host, Kathleen O'Keefe Canavas.
To connect with the other side and receive inspiring messages of peace, healing, and hope. Join psychic medium Bill Phillips at Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York for Signs from Spirit, Connecting with the Other Side. In this weekend retreat, May 31st to June 2nd, you'll learn to recognize signs from Spirit and discover how to remain connected to the ones you love. Mention discount code DREAM for 20% off when you register for Signs from Spirit with Bill Phillips. Learn more at eomega.org.
What if dreams can diagnose your life? What if we can meet the love of our life in dreams? Join host Kat O'Keefe Canavas, the #1 internationally best-selling author of Dreams That Can Save Your Life, written with Duke University medical doctor Larry Burke. Dreaming Healing is where we'll explore dreams, research, and interpret dreams from you, the caller. Dreaming Healing shows can be heard every Tuesday at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern, with live shows on the first and third evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific Time on syndicated Dreamvisions 7 Radio Network. Come live your dreams out loud with Kat.
What happens when we begin to realize that the 200-year experiment we've called the American healthcare system has failed? Learn how spirituality, ancient traditions, and cutting-edge science are merging to create a new paradigm of wellness on Awakened Wellness with Milen Riobe, MD. Tune in every Tuesday at 11 a.m. and 11 p.m. Eastern Time with live shows on the first and third mornings when you can call in and ask Dr. Milen the questions that matter most to you. Dr. Milen is the medical director of the Riobe Institute of Integrative Medicine in Jupiter, Florida. For more information, visit riobeintegrativemedicine.com. Dream Vision 7 Radio Network invites you in for this dynamic, forward-thinking show.
Explore Reiki, one of the most popular energy healing practices in the world, at the Wisdom of Reiki Conference. Held in Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York, the Wisdom of Reiki Conference brings together leading Reiki teachers and authors to share insights, skills, and spiritual wisdom. Mention discount code DREAM for 20% off when you register for the Wisdom of Reiki Conference at Omega, June 7th to 9th. Learn more at eomega.org.
This is Dreamvisions 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
Welcome back to Dreaming Healing on DreamVision7Radio.com. I'm your host, Kat Cannabis, and I'm really pleased to announce that my book, Dreams That Can Save Your Life, Early Warning Signs of Cancer and Other Diseases, just won the Nautilus Book Award in Science and Cosmology, has been translated into Italian this month, and is out in audio. It is published by Inner Traditions Simon & Schuster, and you can find it on my website, KathleenO'KeefeCannabis.com, or just Google The Queen of Dreams into the Google URL bar, and my website will come right up. Just before the break, we were talking, discussing the life changes that James and Jim had. James's was, surviving stage 4 melanoma, and Jim was sitting in church when he realized he had a life shift going on, and he needed to follow this new type of life that he needed to go into. I mean, the voice was not going to leave him alone. They both heard voices, and they both became ministers. So, Jim, you mention in your book, The Key to Life, Living in Full Expression, that we're not actually evolving into something more than that which we are, but rather we're expanding our awareness and knowing of who we are through life events created specifically for that purpose. Can you kind of explain that to us?
Yes. I don't think that anything that is put before us is put before us to hold us back. I think everything that's put before us is to give us the opportunity to measure ourselves against our true potential, which is limitless. And when I talk about the experiences, well, I can use myself as an example. When I look at the experiences I've had in my life, most of the time when we're going into a difficult situation, we have no idea how we're going to get through it. And we can look at somebody else who's gone through a difficult experience and ask that same question of them. How did you do this? I couldn't have done this if I were you. And the fact of the matter is, none of us are intended to get through what somebody else has gone through. We're only intended to get through what we've gone through, which is how and why we always have the ability to do it. And I think that every experience that we have is another experience that helps us remove an additional layer of untruth that I think has been heaped upon us. And when I say that, it's just through all of the word that came to mind was lies. I'm not going to say lies. It's just untruth that have been given to us over the course of our lives, whether it's from parents, family members, schools, what we read in books, whatever the case may be. And I think that keeps us from truly realizing who we are, what we're here to do, and how we can do it. So the whole process of life to me is just this shedding these untruths until we eventually get to the truth, whatever that is. And the whole idea behind the book, The Key to Life Living in Full Expression, it's about getting to more and more of our own personal truth. In my case, who I am, what I'm here to do, and how I'm to do it. And as I learn more and more about me, as I reveal to myself more and more about who I am through the experiences that I've been given, I'm also moving closer and closer to the truth, the ultimate truth.